Well, welcome to anyone who's listening. I make these videos recently, I think, largely due to the fact that I have to vent. I have to vent because it's insane out there what's going on in our country. This is not the America I grew up in by any means. This is not anything that I can hardly recognize. We've gone insane. We are on the precipice of completely destroying our country. None of this makes any sense. Everything's upside down. Left is right. Down is up. And there's craziness all around. The biggest thing is that our country is under attack. We are at war, and most people don't even know we're at war. We're at war with our government, with ourselves, fighting against each other. They want us divided, so we are divided. There are so many issues that we have to deal with that it makes it almost impossible to target one set of things, one event, one set of circumstances that exist because they've created so many. Our southern border and our northern border, which most people don't talk about, is wide open. Everyone in the entire world knows that the border is wide open, no matter how many times they go on television and say, oh no, the border's closed, the border's closed. And they're lying their ass off. They're lying about it, and now we've got about 6 to 7 million illegals who have crossed the border. These are not all asylum seekers. The majority, vast majority, are not asylum seekers. They are simply illegals. Our tax dollars, our funding, our money going through the government that is supposed to be working for us are actually ignoring us. They have an agenda to tend to. They have an agenda to carry out, and they are doing so. This wide open border situation, people are suffering. The people that are crossing are suffering. It is run by the cartels. The cartels own it. The cartels are running it. And our government is assisting them. People are dying in these border crossings. People are being trafficked. Human trafficking. Women, children, others. This mass suffering, and our government is not only allowing it, but encouraging it. Whether they say so out loud or not, the fact of the matter is, it is happening. The horrendous, terrible suffering, pain, death, torture is going on with our government's blessing. They want to flood the country. They want to rid the country, change the dynamic of the country so that they can also change the aspect of generations of people that have come here before, people that are Americans. They want non-Americans here. They want to eliminate much of the white population. Biden has said as much in the past, not that long ago. Said it was a great victory to decrease the white population. Now, why would that be? The same reason that they pit whites against blacks, Asians, Muslims versus Christians. It goes on and on and on. And is our government doing anything really about it? We have the House, and the House is not sufficiently, by any means, stopping any of this. The border states that are there are not doing everything they can do. They're in violation of federal laws allowing wide open borders. This is worse than Obama catch and release, much worse. And too many people don't seem to understand it. We're not standing up. Why is the state National Guards not on the borders bringing this to a halt? They ignore federal law because this is what they want. We have these things going on. We have rampant crime. They talk about gun violence, and it's not the gun violence, it's society. It's the fact that we're letting in millions, literally millions of people. This is an invasion of our country. If you think that these people cannot come together, didn't plan to come together, some of them, how many we don't know, to be an army at some point to fight from the inside. Saboteurs who could be directed to, sleeper cells that could be directed to have certain targets to attack when they're notified to do so. You think 9/11 was something. You think the towers were something. This is eventually going to become something much worse. We have enemies outside. They're also controlling part of our government. Our government is there doing the bidding of some of these other countries because they're bought and paid for. They're in their pockets. They own them. So they are making a situation where they're taking what the other countries want us to do to destroy ourselves, and they're doing so. It's totally insane. This is cruel and unusual on every level. They lie. They lie constantly. On a daily basis, they lie to us. They tell us these lies. They turn around and say one thing, but they do something else. And that's been the theme since the very beginning of this Biden administration. Trump is there. He's running for office. That's all well and fine. And Trump is the man we need. Why? Because he's been there and he's been the president and did what he said he was going to do when he ran. We were economically better. Our security was better. Our border was secure, literally. It was on its way to being completely secure, as best as it can be. That all ended. From the moment Biden stepped into the White House, that ended, along with many other things. Our freedoms are being attacked. This cancel culture, this aspect of stopping anyone from freedom of speech, this oppression that they're hoisting upon us. They use the COVID-19, which I think was an act of war by China, and unfortunately we were a part of creating it, funding it. All this has come out, and yet we continue on like that's never happened, and they're about to do it again. They will try to lock us down again, whether it be the virus or claims of climate or anything else. They will try to do this again, especially in the election year. It is coming. If people don't see this, if enough people don't see this and stand up, we are going to lose our country, our way of life, our freedoms. They will be gone. We will be no better than China, Russia, North Korea, Venezuela. They push a Marxist communist manifesto. They're getting more bold every day in doing so. That's always been touted as, oh, this idealistic, wonderful picture painted that Marxism is so wonderful, and that's the way it's always been done. And they're using this playbook as it's been used before in the past in other countries where it has failed every time, failed the people, enslaved the people, kept people poor, hungrier. It has been a disaster in every case, and here we are headed in that same direction because they want their control. They want their power. They want to shut down everything and take control of us. Everything that they have done from day one has been to attack us. Everything they've done from day one has been to lie to us, deceive us, manipulate us. We can't continue to allow that to happen. If we do so, we will no longer exist with any type of freedom. And we will be scrambling just to survive. If they start a civil war, many people will die. If they start a world war, many more people will die. And they're desperate. Make no doubt about that. They are desperate, and they're getting more desperate every day. As we go towards the 2024 election, I don't know if we'll actually make it. I don't know if we will get there. Because they are subject to do almost anything so they can stop that election. They cheated their ass off in every way, shape, and form in the 2020 election. They not only cheated and stole that election, and little by little it comes out, things going on in Arizona, making it apparent that they did. Things that have just come out about what happened in Michigan, where there were 2 signatures, where there had to be a minimum of 3, there were supposed to be 4. They didn't have it. They only had the 2 signatures. This has come out, which invalidates that election for 2020 there. In 2022, we were supposed to see a red wave, according to all predictions and polls. Now, while polls are limited in their, belief that they are accurate, in this case, there was probably, in all likelihood, there was a red wave. That red wave was stopped by the same tactics that they used in 2020 because we didn't learn those lessons from that. And if you think that they're going to stop for 24, they won't. They will continue trying to use the same tactics and try to cheat again. Every vote must count, and it must be a true, real vote. Every one of these must be under guard. If we don't have free, fair elections, we have no chance. We are Venezuela or any other dictatorship. We cannot live under Marxist rule. It is not how they portray it. And these years in the educational system, they have done just that. They have turned around and pushed Marxism, held back freedom of speech, used every tool possible right out of the playbook to change everyone going through the educational system to indoctrinate them into believing that this utopia that they call Marxism is such a grand thing when it is not. In other words, they lie to them. Why? Because they need these young people that have gone through the educational system to believe anything but America first. Another reason why we need to re-elect Donald Trump. Donald Trump not only fulfilled his promises, but was dedicated to the country and to the people, us. Never in our entire history have we ever seen anyone attacked as viciously, as consistently as Donald Trump. No one gets attacked that much, with that much fervor. No one takes that much heat and stands up to it for the most part, but he has. Why? Why? Because he has a belief in America. He has a belief in freedom. He has a belief in security and prosperity. He's done it. He's been there. And now that he's been out of it for a while, guess what? He's been able to sit back and see the players who are there. See the ones who are really patriotic, really for the country, and who is not. He knows who and what to eliminate, to go after. He knows where the bodies are, so to speak. He is the person we need because he has been tried and tested, and he is still under vicious attacks, attacks that are not true, not based on real rule of law, but based on a corrupt government. We have a DOJ, FBI, IRS. They're all corrupt. These people are, we don't have 3 branches of government, we have 4. The 4th branch is the weaponization of the DOJ and all the other agencies. Politicization, weaponization, they hide it pretty well, but it's obvious that they're there. Out of all the people that have been attacked along the way, President Trump, all the others around President Trump, for the first time going after a previous president, going after his legal counsel and others, is unprecedented in the history of our nation. What that tells us is that they are against America, that they are against freedom, they are against rule of law. And what they're doing is illegal. But they're muddying up the water as much as they can. They want to muddy it up so that we can't really see the truth, but we're not as stupid as they think we are, because they think we are stupid. They think that because we're busy with trying to survive in our life and work our jobs and support our families, and because we don't have the time, we're not being paid to go out and protest things. And they see that as a weakness. They see that as, they think that we don't know these things that are happening, that we don't know what's really going on. And while they hide a lot, they can't hide it all. It's right there in front of us. For those on the left side that don't see this, they better wake up, because all these things are going to affect their life. If we become poor, if we lose our freedom, if we are starving, that's going to happen to you on the left. They're going to take you with it. You won't be in one of their ranks, their high ranks, and safe from all of this. You won't be safe from it. It will affect you also. They're going to take from your life. They're going to take your freedom. They're going to take your food. We're going to have more and more shortages. Our supplies are going to get less and less. Food will be less. Medications will be less, as they try to oppress us all. And they're going to try to oppress all of us, not just those on the right. So people need to wake up. We need to stand up. We need to let these politicians know they work for us. We need to let these politicians know that there are certain things that we will not tolerate as Americans, that we will not tolerate and continue to put up with. If we don't speak loud enough, they won't hear us. More people will not wake up unless we speak up and speak out. Just as I am here now. And I do this out of love of my country, out of love of everyone having the right to free speech, and not have their freedoms taken away, and oppression to be replacing it. That's what Marxism will do. It will replace everything else, and it will crush us. We have two options. We can go down with it, or we can stand up and fight back. Look at the things they're doing in the school. Things they're doing now, these days, just a very few years ago. If anyone would even have brought up the idea of them doing some of the things they're doing, people would have been so outraged, and this would have been squashed immediately. You send your child to school and they come home wondering, what sex are they? You have schools that are pandering to these radical, drastic groups that are trying to convince children who do not have the intelligence, the emotional stability, the understanding to deal with this bombardment of vile and disgusting things that are being thrown at them. What gender are you? What pronoun are you? You can change your sex. So we're going to stand here, we're going to say to a child or a teenager, oh, it's all right if you go in and you take this medication that will drastically affect you, and we don't know what the long-term effects are. It's okay if we send you into surgery and mutilate your body, mutilate a child or a teenager's body on a whim, basically, or on a mental disorder called gender dysphoria. That exists. That's there. You don't treat it by giving in and doing that. Any parent that does that should go to jail and should have their children taken away from them. But yet this is bringing, coming up in schools, in classrooms by teachers that are horrendous. And guess what? All this is supported by teachers' unions, which we need to do away with. But if enough of you don't stand up, they will continue on this path. How can you not stand up to teachers' unions, schools that are promoting this, that are doing this kind of horrendous, horrible, unthinkable damage to the children and teenagers caught up in it? And then on top of that, they want to raise you and then send you to college who wants to turn you into a radical Marxist activist. This is all completely insane and off the charts. We are in uncharted waters. If we don't make a stand, enough of us, if we don't speak out, if we don't let them know that we are not this stupid, if we don't assure ourselves that we have a real, fair voting election system in place, regardless of their attempts at all these drop boxes and things and harvesting ballots illegally and even creating ballots. Millions of ballots were found that were printed in China and shipped to the US. Really? And that's okay? No, of course not. It's not okay. None of it is. This is insanity at its highest level. But if we don't stand up, we will lose our way of life. They want to tear families apart. They want to pit one race against another. They use any and every excuse, but it is still, if you look, the Marxist playbook. We need to vote, and we need to vote in people that are America first. People that believe in the Constitution. We are a constitutional republic, not just a democracy. That's a word they use and they throw around and they abuse it. We have got to stand. We can't allow this to continue on this path. It is a path of destruction. And it is dangerous. The dangers are real. And the possibility of what they will do in their desperation, we can't even imagine at this point. We have to stay on the right side of things. You can't stand back and ignore this. If you ignore this, it's still going to hit you. It will happen. Tearing down our statues, erasing our history, changing our history, lying about everything for these agendas. When it comes down to it is about the people who are in control, in power, wanting to keep their money, keep their control, and take over all of us, the sheep. We are nothing to them. They have no qualms whatsoever about whether we live or die as long as they get what they want. And that's the real point. And if we don't see that, if we don't change it, then maybe we deserve to get what we get. Time to wake up.